Hello, hello, hello. So, welcome to the LiveWell Action Alliance Podcast. I'm Shantel Taylor. This is
Tanya Phillips.
And I'm Sarah Wise.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, we're super excited to come to you. We are a part of the Early Childhood Education Community Action Team, and this particular action team is under Ubuntu Community Catalyst. So Ubuntu is known for our work in resident capacity building. So in essence, we are uplifting residents of the South Fulton area to help them with their already embedded skills such as leadership, and also providing them with resources and things of that nature just to improve the lives and outcomes of the underserved in the South Fulton region. And by South Fulton region, we mean College Park, East Point, give me some more cities, y'all, Fairburn, Union City, Palmetto.
All the way down to Palmetto.
Exactly. So
the Cleveland Avenue corridor.
Absolutely. So we are super excited to come to you today. This is our very first episode of the LiveWell Action Alliance Podcast.
We're so excited.
Woo! And also, one of the things that we are going to be talking about today, well, actually, the main thing that we're going to be talking about today is autism awareness, because April is Autism Awareness Month. Hence the shirts. Give it to them, ladies. Okay. And also what's really special about this particular, our first episode, is you're going to get to know more about us, but also we're centering the beautiful Tanya Phillips. She is what we call an exceptional mama, and we'll get into more of what that means soon and very soon. However, I just want to get us started really quickly with a quick question. So the icebreaker question for today, and listeners feel free to answer this as well. Who were you before you were a mama? So since we are centering my lovely good sis Tanya, you want to take that question first? Who were you before you were a mama?
Ooh, okay, so that's a good question, right? So before I was a mama, I was just me, living my life. I was just enjoying life, being single, being an adult when I was an adult. When I came of age, I went to Clark Atlanta University. I've worked in the HR space for a very long time. I was even a daycare director for a while. And so that's why the work around early childhood education is very near and dear to my heart. That's actually what I went to school for as my major. And so this is something that's just very near and dear to my heart. And it just so happens that I get to be a part of Ubuntu in a space that is really out here doing the work, that is really about and has a heart for children, specifically around some of the things that we're doing with the children, which is the advocating for neurodiversity and for neurodiverse families, around financial literacy, around all the beautiful things that we have to offer. And so I'm excited to be here. I'm excited about this opportunity that we have to bring this information to you all. And I've been dope, dynamic, fabulous, spiritual, blessed, all of those things all of my life. So That is who I am, and that is who I should always be.
Ashe.
Thank you.
So you want to popcorn it?
Excuse me. So, and I apologize, y'all. I'm getting over a little cough, but I will popcorn it on over to the lovely Sarah for that same question.
Okay, so when I think about this, who was I before I was a mama? I think I was a student of life. I was really comfortable taking risks. I was okay with making mistakes. I was a bit more free with experiences. I feel like motherhood has really facilitated me kind of coming into my own, grounding myself, but that also comes with taking a lot less risks and sticking to what I know. Before I was a mama, I feel like I was a bit more free.
Okay, that makes sense.
I can see that.
I can see that too. So I guess that leaves me. Before I was a mama, so I became a mom while still in college. I went to Spelman. Come on, AUC family. Mm-hmm. And I feel like before kids, I I would say, of course, free. That sticks out in my mind too, right? You don't have that responsibility per se, but also I remember back then. I think I was even more like a concern with the perception, that people may have had of me, if that makes sense. I feel like back then I was still kind of finding myself, trying to figure out who I wanted to be. But in raising humans, it's kind of brought me closer to who I am, ironically,
Yeah.
So I guess I would describe myself as free, yes, more free as far as time, but also unsure, prior to. So my children have brought a lot of grounding to me.
Yes,
So,
motherhood freed you.
Yes.
I love that. I love that.
yes.
I love that.
So yeah, and I did want to circle back because Tanya, thank you so much for mentioning some of the initiatives that we do on the Early Childhood Education Community Action Team. And as a matter of fact, we want to, well, first and foremost, shout out our partners at Promise Career Institute for allowing us to use their fabulous podcast space to record this episode and the other episodes that we shall be recording. So Tanya did mention we do have an initiative around providing support for neurodivergent families, and that's why we really wanted to center the conversation on neurodivergence today. We also have, as she mentioned, an initiative on financial literacy. We want to bring financial literacy into the school system, into the content. If we're teaching our children math, why not introduce some financial literacy principles as we introduce those that context, if you will, and different things surrounding that as well. We don't just want to hit the children. We also want to make sure that we're thinking about the adults and the families. Also, another initiative that we have is surrounding restorative justice, and we will have, as a matter of fact, as I speak about these initiatives, we're going to make sure that we center podcast episodes on each one of those, so look out for that. And we also have an initiative surrounding nutrition. Yay. It's the new baby on the ECE-CAT, and we're super excited about that. And lastly, we have an initiative called Fostering Family Leaders. It is actually a training program. As I mentioned earlier, Ubuntu is about resident capacity building, and that is through training. One of the ways that we build resident capacity. So this particular venture is a partnership with the United Way. It's the Fostering Family Leaders curriculum is their curriculum, and we actually are graduates of the Fostering Family Leaders program, and that is what kind of led us into this work on the community action team, graduating through that program and deciding that, hey, we can take this information and what we have and who we are and really move some things, be movers and shakers in the space of uplifting the South Fulton region. So with that said, we are going to get right into our dialogue. So let's get it.
Let's do it. Okay. So as Shantel mentioned, we're going to have the opportunity to get really deep with our team member Tanya today. As we discuss being exceptional mamas, our exceptional babies, and neurodivergence and what all that means, Tanya has been so gracious to kind of sit in the seat and allow her experience to kind of guide us through this process. The purpose of this is we want to kind of bring light to what the process currently is, what her experience has been, but we also want to explore how these things can be improved, how these processes can be improved locally here in South Fulton and, of course, in a larger space. So we're going to get into our conversation with Tanya. And so to get started, let's go ahead and get into some vocabulary. Can you break down this term exceptional mama? Why do you actually introduced us to this term. Why do you prefer this term, and why should it be used like in our larger communities?
So for me, being an exceptional mama means mothering through the mess, It means showing up for my children when I'm tired, when I'm underpaid, when I'm undersupported, when I'm exhausted, when I am even overlooking myself. I still have to show up in excellence and exceptionality. I have to be here doing this. It's loving fiercely, advocating loudly, holding it all together, or letting it fall apart if that's what is supposed to happen, And it just means that I'm figuring out my healing, I'm figuring out my finances, I'm figuring out my career, figuring out my identity, while also raising two beautiful boys who need me in ways that I wasn't prepared for. But somehow I keep showing up and I keep rising to the occasion.
Oh, no, that's right.
And I'm not alone. Exceptional mamas are everywhere. 3 of us here in this room, doing impossible things with quiet courage. And for that, I'm grateful. So that's what that means.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I appreciate the idea that in our own way we're all called to be exceptional. And in life circumstances, some of us need to be more exceptional than others. And so we appreciate that energy as mamas in general, but also looking at what that is for you. So can you walk us through what this journey has been? Your boys are on the autism spectrum. And so can you kind of talk to us a little bit about the beginnings of your journey there, and where that's led you to now?
So what I'll do is I'll kind of explain what autism is.
That would be great. That's a great place
just
to start.
to kind of really explain a few things. So autism or autism spectrum disorder is a neurodevelopmental condition that affects how a person communicates, interacts socially, and experiences the world around them. It's called a spectrum because the characteristics of autism can vary greatly from person to person. So some may need significant support in daily life, while others live independently and may not be diagnosed actually until adulthood. So some of those common features include differences in social communication and interaction, repetitive behaviors, routines and interests, sensory sensitivities to sounds, textures, lights, etc., and strengths in areas like memory, attention to detail, creative thinking. Autism is not an illness. It's not something to be fixed. It's a different way of experiencing and processing the world. So the spectrum includes a wide range of identities, strengths, and challenges. So just to kind of run that down.
Okay. Thank you. Because I think that's a great place for us to start.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so just to kind of circle back, so I'll go into a bit. So my name is Tanya Phillips. Once again, I'm proud mom of twin boys, Adewale and Sekou, who in this society are named autistic, but in my world, in my spirit, they are so much more. They are beautifully and divinely autistic, yes, but beyond that, they are gifted, brilliant, radiant beings. They are intelligent, they are intuitive, and they're deeply connected to the unseen. On our journey, it began with questions like delays in speech, a lot of like sensory overload, behaviors that people didn't understand. I didn't understand it. And I didn't have a guidebook. It was still, they're 6 now. So it was still new kind of to me, especially in my world. And the acceptance around it was not quite there. And it's advanced, it's become more accepted, I think, now. And just, there's other things that are kind of going on and there to help. But I didn't have a guidebook. I had to become a researcher. I had to become a case manager, a therapist, a healer, an advocate, a warrior, all at once. And so it changed me. It made me stronger, resilient, but it also made me softer. It made me more intentional. It made me more present. And through it all, I learned that my children are not broken. They are not behind. They are not here to be fixed. They are here on assignment.
You better say that.
Come on
You
now.
better say that.
They are here. They're meant to guide, to elevate, to bless, and to heal. And the way that they move through the world, the way that they feel and express themselves, the way that they teach without even speaking, it's sacred. I'm deeply honored that I was chosen to guide and love them during this beautiful journey, to be quite frank. And I'm also a single woman. I'm navigating the complexities of life, parenting, finances, wellness, healing, and yes, even just rediscovering what that means to be, what it means and what it feels like to be loved, to be seen, to be held as a woman. There's no manual for this, no roadmap, just spirit, guiding, intuition, listening, and a whole lot of grace and mercy. I do all of this while I manage the exhausting, never-ending administrative maze that comes with raising neurodivergent children in a system that was never built with families like mine in mind. So let's just be real for a second. I mean, the system was designed to wear you down. And that's kind of what I'm navigating through at this current moment, and why we're bringing this information and this story to everyone so they can kind of see it and know that they're not alone as they start in the journey, as they're in the process of the journey, even toward the end of the journey, however that looks like, what that looks like. And it's really a never-ending journey. But whether you're trying to get a diagnosis, apply for Medicaid waivers, fight for an appropriate IEP, or access therapies, it often feels like you're just running in circles. You're filling out the same forms over and over. You're being transferred from one department to another. You're left on hold for hours or told you'll be called back, and nobody's checking back in with you, so you got to remember to call back in the midst of it. Only to be told that you're missing one small piece of paperwork again, and you have to do that again and again and again. And it's a constant uphill battle, and it's no accident. The barriers are not accidental. They're baked into the system and designed to frustrate you into silence or surrender. But I wasn't built to give up. I was built to transmute, to advocate, to hold light, to hold vision, to co-create a future where families like mine don't just survive, we thrive. Every single day I lean into divine mother energy, the sacred presence that reminds me I'm never alone. My intuition is valid, and my children are here on purpose.
Yes. Yes.
So I listen to my ancestors, I trust the unseen, and I ground myself in the truth that healing, advocacy, and joy can coexist even when the world says otherwise. So if you're listening to this and you're on this journey, know this, that your child is not broken, you are not failing, you are being chosen, you are being called into something deeper, something sacred. You are not navigating chaos, you are birthing liberation, and we're doing it together. Okay? So.
Wow. Okay.
And let me get off my soapbox.
Wow. Okay, so it is such an honor working with you, of course, but also witnessing you do motherhood. We're all mothers in this room, and we all approach it differently. But being able to witness you in your motherhood journey is such, it's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful labor of love, and the way that I see you show up. And I'm curious if you could help us and our listeners. What can we do to better partner with children on the spectrum and parents of children on the spectrum?
So we talk about equity a lot, and I know that's a hot topic, hot word right now.
It's a hot word.
It's a hot word right now. But here's the thing. Teach your children kindness. Be kind in a world where there's a lot of unkind things that are happening. Just because a person is different from you, differently able from you, does not mean that they don't understand what's happening. It doesn't mean that they're not hearing what you're saying, even if they can't verbalize to you what they need to say or what you feel like they should say. Listen, hear with your heart. Hear with your heart, hear with your mind, but hear with your heart too. And make space for, hold space for yourself and for others. Advocate for each other. Advocate for others. If there's something that's going on, you know it's wrong. When you stand idly by and watch it happen, you're just as wrong as the person that's causing the harm. So I think for me, it's about really standing in the gap, standing in the space to be able to advocate, to show up, to give grace, to give mercy, to just be good people in the grand scheme of things. And that's what a lot of autistic people on the spectrum kind of show us. If you've noticed, and it's a broad spectrum, obviously, but there's usually a lot of bluntness that happens there. But baby, they gonna tell you something. They gonna drop a word in your spirit, and you're gonna be like, well, wait a minute now. They said that a little bit. I don't know if I love how it was said, but it was a word nonetheless. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Or they might, it could be something as a simple touch to your face, and it's kind of like, oh. And to know that them being, like, they don't touch, or they might not like to be touched, but the fact that they came and they touched your face.
Yeah.
It's like, y'all know I'm a Cancer, so y'all may not know that, but y'all know that because I'll probably cry throughout these at some point, throughout these podcast episodes that we have. I'll end up crying at some point, trust me. However, something like that, just so simple, just to be a good human being, is so powerful, so transformative. It really is just helping each other and loving on each other. And that's really what I feel like autistic children are here to teach us. Autistic people are here to teach us. Show up for one another. Be kind and loving to one another. Listen to other people's voices. Honor, respect other people's voices, feelings, experiences. I think that's a big thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Me too. I love that. I love that you started with teaching our children to be kind, because I think that when we inform ourselves as adults and we're able to demonstrate the behavior that we want from our children, we create this other language for them to use, like exceptional and things like that, that really does instill that kindness that is necessary. Can you kind of walk us into how your personal journey, your personal experiences has helped inform the work we collectively do within the ECE-CAT? So we all kind of work together within our initiative, but this particular initiative is, of course, very special to you. Can you talk a bit about how this informs your work?
So my boys are my why, right? They're everything that I advocate for in the early childhood education sphere, in neurodiversity, in community empowerment. It's rooted in their journey and in mine. So ECE-CAT isn't just a project or a program. It's personal. It's prophetic even. And I know what it's like to be in spaces where no one looks like you or speaks your language or understands your child, right? So I know what it's like to feel unseen. And I say speak your language because, you know, we do what we call it, the vernacular that black folk tend to use. Ebonics. What's the more
the proper one?
The proper term.
African American
vernacular.
Yes,
African American vernacular.
English.
AAVE. Yeah, so AAVE. So when I say speak the language, because you know I present here, right? But we know.
We know
Tanya likes a hood and good time
It
too.
was the cackle for me.
But anyway, you know, but when I say speak the language, it's about showing up how you are, who you are, and as you are always, right? But I know what it feels like to feel unseen, and so I fight to build systems that are rooted in equity and empathy and liberation. Not charity. Change. It's a difference. So that's how I feel like parenting has shaped kind of the work that I do with ECE-CAT, and so that's kind of where I'm coming from with that, if you will.
Come on, change over charity.
Listen,
I'm here for it. That should go on a shirt.
She came ready for us today. Thank you so much. Okay. As you come to understand and better understand your sons and their journey in this world, what are some joys or strengths that you feel like we lay folks who don't get to spend so much time with them, what are those things that you think we overlook? What do we miss? And not necessarily just with Sekou and Adebowale, but with all of our community members that are on the spectrum. What are those things that we should be looking out for that can be communal touch points for us?
Their brilliance, godly. Man, if you really just stop and think for a second, just stop and watch them sometimes. Not to be weird or creepy, obviously, but just stop and watch how they interact and how they, not just the behaviors, but their whys, kind of just paying attention to them. It's a magic. It's a rhythm that they have. It's almost, it's sacred. To keep using that word, it is. But it's like a cosmic intelligence that they have often. They have a sensitivity to sound often, a sensitivity to light, a sensitivity to energy. We know what energy feels like when you walk into the room and the vibes are off, or the vibes are lit. You understand what I'm saying? Right? It's not a limitation, it's a superpower. So they laugh with their whole spirit. I'm talking about big, boisterous laughs. Very full, very like, oh. And then you find yourself laughing too. They dance without fear, so they be, they don't care how they look. Most people, they always worried about in my, chain ball step, whatever. Like, everybody's there, but they dance without the fear. They sing and they play songs, and some of them have just the most beautiful minds that you've ever seen, and can listen to and play something just from hearing it. Mm-hmm. Come on now, is that not magical?
No,
I can't do it. I can't do it. I wish I could. That's not my ministry, but it's there, some of them. And how beautiful is and I'm sorry, y'all. It's something like that. And excuse me, but they ask all kinds of questions that stop me in my tracks and make me laugh. Their intelligence isn't always verbal, but it's very potent. And it's all, and it's not in spite of being autistic. It's almost because they are autistic. Like, that's their magic. Mm-hmm. They came here with some magic in them. So they remind me that healing isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a moment of stillness, a soft gaze, a sudden giggle. Mm-hmm. They are teachers. They are medicine. And I am in awe of them every day. I admire them.
Oh. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
It's always so amazing to talk about your children, but then just like motherhood in general is so inspiring. Can you talk to us briefly about how your work personally has evolved over the years? So, like, how has this journey evolved, Tanya?
Oh.
So we learned about who Tanya was before she was a mama. Mm-hmm. So talk to us about how you got into this beautiful, robust wealth of resources and knowledge and compassion. How have you gotten there?
So I've always been a very gentle soul, I should say. And after I had my boys, I battled with postpartum depression for a bit. Mm-hmm. And once I kind of started coming up out of it, healing, moving past it, I was introduced to Ubuntu there was an organization called Parents and Teachers, I believe it was. Parents as Teachers, excuse me. I don't know if they're still around anymore, so forgive me, y'all, if I'm saying something that's out of turn. But at the end of the day, that's how I got introduced to Ubuntu. And Ubuntu was doing some wonderful work at that time. It was really just based around behavioral mental health, which was one of their first CATs that they had. And obviously, at that point, it was something that was near and dear to my heart for sure, just like the boys were. And I was like, there's mamas out here that shouldn't be having to deal with what I had to deal with. They should have a tribe. They should have resources. And they should have people that advocate for them and help them along their journey so they can move through it a little bit more quickly, even if they do happen to deal with that, or maybe not have to experience it at all. How beautiful would that be, right? And so that was one of the big things for me, and so I kind of really dove into the work, and Sir Jose Bright and Mary Wilson and also David Gibbs all welcomed me with open arms, and they were so fantastic. Sir Jose Bright passed away back in the end of 2023. He was just a beacon of light and just a fantastic human being overall. Absolutely. But just bringing me into the fold, just immediately, like, helping me with certain resources I didn't even know were available at the time. As a single mom, newly divorced and with brand new babies, and they're twins at that, and not a whole lot of family members, and definitely no family members here. I didn't even have the big tribe that I have now, and I have a beautiful big tribe now. And a lot of that is part to doing work with Ubuntu, doing work in the community. And I'm super grateful for that. So I feel like had I not been given that opportunity, honestly, I don't know. I know that God would have provided, right? I know that the universe, loves me, and I'm honored in that. But I'm grateful for this journey and how this path unfolded for me, so I could really have a voice and speak up, and talk to the mamas, to the daddies, to the grandmas, to the granddaddies, the aunts, uncles, the teachers, the whomever else that would be considered a family leader, right? That's doing this work around everything that's near and dear to my heart, because I'm a ride for these babies.
For sure.
And I'm a ride for the mamas too.
Okay, riding for the mamas. And I just want to share really quick. So Tanya did mention the behavioral mental health CAT, and I just want the listeners to know. So the CAT stands for Community Action Team. So we do have, our abbreviations of the different community action teams at Ubuntu and Pop Quiz. Pop Quiz. Let's name them out. Behavioral mental health Community Action Team.
Housing affordability.
Environmental justice.
ECE-CAT.
Which is ECE stands for Early Childhood Education Community Action Team. And we also have the LiveWell South Fulton Youth Council. So we have a voice for everybody and a spot for everybody in the community. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, first off, thank you so much for rounding that, because I think that as we get to know our audience and our audience gets to know us, it is important that they know what we're talking about and what some of this language is. So check me as necessary for sure.
Thank you. No, thank you for bringing that. Yeah.
But I'm grateful for you just being so transparent with your story and being so open with it, and thinking about the personal sides of this and how we as community members need to really do our personal work to be more informed with how we show up for our community members who show up different. And you're a brilliant example of that every day with your sons, but also just as a coworker. And we all, as women showing up differently, you are so accommodating, and in the best possible ways. We all could use those accommodations. Shout out to those IEPs. Okay, so speaking of IEPs, we're going to transition. We're going to do a little bit of a transition now, and I'm going to pass it to Shantel.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. So again, Tanya, I just love how you're always so open to share and just to help. It's not, and that's the beauty of it. Tanya, she doesn't just share. She's like, oh no, not only am I going to share, we're going to get the thing done.
I got my boots on. I'm lacing up my boots. What you need?
Absolutely. So, Sarah, you did mention the IEP, so the individualized education plan. Okay. So what was that like for you when you were taking the boys to school? Because I know, so they're 6, so they are in first grade, correct?
Kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
Because they got a late birthday.
Oh, yes, the late birthday. I forgot about that. And they're also called the Pooties, by the way. Okay, so we're talking about the Pooties right now. It's a Pootie party. Okay. So what was that like getting them into school during pre-K, their first time into the public school system?
It was.
Okay, so can you take us on that journey, specifically as it relates to getting them that individualized education plan?
So I have to say, we've been blessed in many ways. The school staff and the teachers we work with they've often shown up with care and willingness by and large. I've heard some horror stories, so I know that is not the case for everyone. But make no mistake, even with there being good people in place, I've still had to be that parent. I've had to repeat myself. I've had to push back. And I've had to make sure that the language in their IEP reflects what they truly need, not just what's easiest for the system to offer.
Oh, I love that. And I do want to just circle back a little bit because we do want to make sure that people understand what that is. So what the IEP is, it's an educational plan that is unique to that child's specific needs, whatever that child needs to be successful in their journey of that grade level. And also it's not, while it is a legal document, it's also not set in stone. The purpose of it is for the parents, the teachers, school administration to work together to collaborate on this document and also to make adjustments as needed, because ultimately the whole purpose is for the children, who are in need, who have those special needs services, they're able to thrive. That's the whole point. We want the babies to thrive. Okay, so back to
and with the IEP, so I'll add some more sauce on it too. Is it's meant to be just personable for those children. Like, even if it's like After they finish one task, they get to go outside and run around for a little bit. It could be something just that simple that really could make or break the day for the child. Or they get to play with their blocks and line up their farm animals, for a set amount of time. And it just helps them out with transitions throughout the day, so they can be more successful. So it could look like a number of things, but if you as a parent know your child, and you know the things that really kind of work best for them, and you can incorporate that in their day. You can incorporate those things in that IEP. Ask for what you want. You have your rights. They're supposed to give you your rights prior to the IEP meetings. So you're supposed to have those, but you can get those online. You don't got to wait for them to give it to you. So get your rights. Read that stuff. Read it. Looking in what you can and cannot do, what they are supposed to do and must do, what they are responsible for, because you have some rights, and you better advocate for your babies, and make sure that they get what they're supposed to get, and they're treated how they're supposed to be treated.
That's right.
So yeah, so I said that, but I think it's most of this with the IEPs and trying to navigate that entire process is really just a dance between like grace and grit. I lead with love, but I don't back down. I don't, y'all know I don't play about them little boys.
Right.
The pooties, those are my babies, and I'll go to war for them. And my babies, my sons, my big boys at this point, deserve an education that sees them, that nurtures them, and that honors their brilliance. And so that's why the IEPs are important and must be put in place and must be honored. And adjusted if need be.
Absolutely.
And you can request that, another meeting to adjust and make adjustments. That's another thing that they often don't tell you or share with you. You can request to have advocates at your IEP meetings that know what they're talking about. If you don't go in there scared. Don't let them bully you. Don't feel like you will be bullied. But there's only certain things that they can say that they're allowed to say. So that's why you gotta armor up and not be ready to go to war, but be ready to go to war if you need to. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so do what you got to do and make sure that you know your babies, that you advocate for them, and that you're getting the tips, the tools, the speech therapies, the occupational therapies. If you feel like they need it, say, I want it, give it to them. That's it. Whatever it may be, get your stuff. Get what you need for your babies. That's it.
So what I'm hearing you say is, of course, approach it with a collaborative mindset.
Absolutely.
And just don't necessarily go in there fearful, because I think, and I've just from my own experience as a parent, I understand what that's like when you're dealing with administration and you don't want to rock the boat,
It seems
and
like
you
the
know,
big bad wolf.
it seems very like an intimidating and a daunting task. But to your point, like go in there like, hey,
Let's collaborate.
Let's collaborate. This is what is going to work best for my child.
And if you don't want to collaborate, well, let's get into some gangster stuff. And not in a way where we fighting, you know what I'm saying? We're not taking it to
we
to the
paper
streets.
gangsters over here.
We
We
gonna
paper
be-
gangsters.
I told you that.
Bet it ain't me.
Email.
No, for real. We some keyboard thugs.
No,
For
for
sure.
real.
We go
No,
keyboard
for real.
thugging, for
But
sure,
you gotta
for sure.
sometimes a nice, strongly worded email will get the job done. Don't you ever
Indeed.
forget it. Okay,
Indeed.
make it a chat GPT. You better. I call it Sister Chat.
Okay.
You better holler at Sister Chat. Tell her what you need and say, hey, tell these people I'm not playing. Okay, and this is what I want, and make sure it's in alignment with what I need and what's legal. You know, because you want to make sure you stay legal. Don't be threatening people. Okay?
Yeah, we're not gonna do that.
not gonna do that.
Yeah, that's not.
You
That
know.
might not end well.
But get what you need for your babies and advocate for them appropriately, professionally, and do what you gotta do and get what you need. That's it.
Thank you for that. So, when we're talking about, I love how we were talking about being collaborative in that conversation. So that brings me into my next question for you. So, can you describe a time where you, or maybe multiple times where you just felt truly supported in your journey with the Pooties?
Ooh, let's see. I feel supported now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I feel supported now. So it's in those moments where other mothers see you. People see you doing the work, even in the silent moments, in the moments where you doing the work through illness,
Yeah.
You doing the work through tears and heartbreak and whatever else may be going on, because life be lifing, you know?
Indeed.
And another mama says, you are doing an amazing job.
Don't they hit different?
Yes. You do.
Yes. Ooh, come on, Thug Tears.
So, I told y'all I was gonna grind, but we gonna bring it back. And but yeah, just when another mother that you respect, that you know that's doing a bang up job themselves with their kids, sees you and honors you.
Yes. Yeah.
So, bringing it back and not crying too much, right? It's not performative when it's done. It's just pure recognition. It's just the language, the understanding, the feeling seen and feeling heard. Sometimes it's somebody showing up with a resource. Hey, I thought about you. You're low on funds. Come out to eat with me.
Yeah. I love that. And that kind of circles back to what you said earlier when Sarah asked you, how can we as community members, how can we support you? Mm-hmm. And what I'm hearing you say is, see me. Mm-hmm. See me in the fullness of my experience. If you see, and also when you see resources and opportunities, consider that person. And reach out, share.
Yeah. Speak my name in those
Absolutely.
rooms when you know it. When you know that that's something that I would be good at doing. Mm-hmm. If it's a resource that you can use, but also I could use it too, tell me too, because I'm going to pass it on too.
Exactly.
Because we all need to be getting these things that we supposed to have.
Right.
It's not, we shouldn't be in the crabs in a barrel type of mentality. It's always about community. It's about sharing. It's about resources, about sharing those resources.
And that's advocacy too, because I think a lot of times we can kind of box in what advocacy really is, that, hey, I'm down at the Capitol. Now that's some real advocacy right there too, let's be clear.
That does count.
But also, advocacy can look like so many different things, It can look like you're doing the research for a resource for somebody, or you see it. You could be passing, I see flyers all the time. Matter of fact, the Sensory Festival, the Autism Sensory Festival that we went to, that Saturday, right? Saturday.
Yes,
so I happened to be at Papa John's, okay? Mm-hmm. Papa John's giving me a good old little carry-out special. Mm-hmm. And I saw it on
They not sponsored. We're not going to shop.
Oh, yeah.
They ain't sponsoring this second.
They not yet.
Y'all can holler at us, though.
No, but still. So I actually saw the flyer. It was posted out of the city of South Fulton, the police, I think that is a police station or department off of Cedar Grove. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. And also I saw the summer camp that they're going to have at Chattahoochee Hills, that charter school in Fairburn, correct? Mm-hmm. That's in Fairburn. And, just super excited to see those different things. But to my point, when you see things like that, I'm like, let me share it with the group, and let's, get it out there and send it to some of the other mothers and grandmothers that I know who have children who are on the spectrum. So to Tanya's point, it's important. That's advocacy. And we definitely have to realize that we all can advocate in some way. It doesn't have to be grandiose. It could advocacy is literally just you being thoughtful in that respect.
Absolutely.
So a question for you. Mm-hmm. So how do you see us as the Early Childhood Community Education Action Team? I said the whole thing, y'all. The ECE-CAT. How do you see us filling in the gaps as it relates to the support that neurodivergent families need?
Okay.
Or the families of neurodivergent children, rather.
So we're focused on filling the gaps beneath the gaps. Mm. So the ones that no one wants to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The emotional toll of advocacy, the spiritual exhaustion, the lack of culturally responsive care.
Okay.
the silence around neurodivergence in Black and brown communities. We're building spaces where parents can exhale, where they can learn, where providers can learn, where families are seen as the experts and not just the recipients. We're not just adding to the system, we're reimagining it. And I feel like those gaps are here, they're loud, but that's why we're here to fill in the gaps, like I said, beneath those gaps. Because I think all of that stuff is important. So, yeah, I think that it's more so just beyond emotional toll. I talked about being run around in a circle, trying to apply for resources. Mm-hmm. My goal is to streamline the process for everybody. Unfortunately, Georgia does not have it set up to where it is a streamlined process at all. And like I said before, they make it to where they are trying to exhaust you. It is very obvious that they are trying to exhaust you, and it's to the point of surrender and harm, really, to me. Mm. Because if you're a parent that is already in need of help, maybe your finances are low, and even if they're not, you just have a child that you don't know how to navigate and need some type of direction and some help and some resources. And the resources are there for you, but getting to them, all kinds of barriers.
Getting to and through, okay?
And it's unnecessary. And I feel like that's why we want to do the trainings, the workshops, have the parent support groups.
Yes.
To talk through some of those things, to help streamline some of those processes, to say, hey, I dealt with that too. Here's how you navigate that, actually. Call them and say this instead. Or here's this number right here, because that number right here, that's the one that they play with you with. Mm. You understand what I'm saying? Mm. That's what the parent support groups are about. That's what the trainings and the workshops are about, is to build that community, fill in those gaps beneath the gaps.
So what I'm hearing you say, as it relates to the ECE-CAT, what we are doing is filling in the gaps by putting all the puzzle, just putting the puzzle together of almost like an A to Z, if you will, on what, first of all, we're talking diagnosis, getting the diagnosis.
Not even diagnosis. What are the signs? What are some indicators
the signs, yep,
that your child might be autistic? How about removing the fear and stigma around autism, what it is and what it means? Your child is not dumb. Your child is not broken.
Or weird.
Or it's something to fix, like I said before. That's not what it is. It means that you've been blessed with an opportunity to rise to this occasion. Mm. You are being called to elevate yourself and your children. And at that moment, you have decisions to make. You can ignore, or you can rise to the occasion. Recognize the signs, ask the questions, do some research, talk to your pediatrician. Mm-hmm. If your pediatrician won't do anything, go to another pediatrician, because that ain't a good one. Talk to somebody else, get a second opinion. Once you get what you're looking for, and it's settled in, because you know as a parent, you already know. But get your answers, okay? Get the evaluation done. There's all kinds of things around that. Once you get your evaluation done, go ahead and get the therapies. Go ahead and get them started in therapies. Get on, if you need help with medical stuff, there's Medicaid, there's, I think Katie Beckett helps with stuff. There's lots of resources that are out there.
The Katie Beckett waiver?
Mm-hmm. Okay. There's lots of different resources that are out there. A lot of times you can still qualify for Social Security even if you make a lot of money. And I won't say a lot of money, even if you make decent money, you might still be able to qualify for Social Security. Apply for that as soon as possible, because they take a long time to go through the process. And but you'll get your back pay from the time that you apply, but there's still all kinds of ways to kind of navigate that. But go ahead, don't be shy. it's going to be a journey. It's going to be a journey. It's not for the faint of heart. I won't sugarcoat it in any kind of way, shape, or form. But go ahead and get what you need. And advocate for those babies.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned, you put some sprinkles in there about, certain things that they can do, especially in the beginning part, which is so true when it goes back to the point you made about holding space. We have to hold space for our children as well, and the things that they do and how they show up and how they express themselves. And I just love how you keep hitting the point of, hey, like, there's nothing wrong with your child. It's not wrong. It's different, So I love that. We do have to be very careful about our language, very, very careful about our language and our labeling. So
absolutely,
I'm
a big proponent of that. Like, I don't play about those words. You don't call it a disorder. You don't call it disabled. That's not what this is.
Right.
This is not what that
Hence
is.
the term exceptional.
That part. That part.
Yeah.
And I also want to add, if your child is under 3, there's Babies Can't Wait.
Mm-hmm.
When they get to school age, there's a such thing as just writing the school, talking to the administrators, and getting your evaluation, getting the IEP. But going and getting that evaluation still through, there's Hope Bridge, there's Marcus Autism Center, there's you can do even a psychologist as well, and get an evaluation through them.
And typically that would likely be a referral from the pediatrician, right?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And so you definitely want to get that referral, and that way you typically are more, you have to navigate the insurance pieces around that, but you can talk to some insurance professionals or however that looks. If you have Medicaid, the earlier you do it, the better, right? Because they have Babies Can't Wait, and they kind of take you through the process a little bit more thoroughly. And you don't have to be so spotty or splotchy with trying to get the diagnosis and trying to get the other things. But if you recognize it, or you've, kind of buried your head about it, unfortunately, because sometimes we do that as parents, because we got a lot of stuff going on.
And
it's okay, and don't beat
shame.
no shame. Do not beat yourself up about it. Once you are here and you see yourself and you see what it is, still go and advocate. Talk to their pediatrician. Go ahead and get that diagnosis. That evaluation, and hopefully get a diagnosis if that's the case. But Medicaid and Peach Care you can apply for. Georgia DD waiver for long-term support. Katie Beckett waiver if income disqualifies you from Medicaid. There's, like I said, Babies Can't Wait. There's SSI, supplemental security income. And then you got the IEPs and the 504s. There's therapies, ABA, which is applied behavior analysis, speech therapy, occupational therapy, there's feeding therapy, there's mental health therapy, there's financial assistance. They have Easter Seals of Georgia. Marcus Autism Center sometimes has financial assistance. Now, mind you, these are just some things, and they may be tapped out of resources, but you gotta ask. Find the resources, they're out there. Follow Instagram pages that have children that are autistic, because a lot of times they know resources and they'll tell you about it. Go on TikTok and find the things. Do your due diligence. There's Champions for Children. There are ABLE accounts. There's respite care grants. I don't know if they do a whole lot of respite care in Georgia. I think they're trying to bring that around for autism and for neurodivergence. But at this current moment, they're not. I don't think that they pay just yet for people to care for their children. But that's when SSI can step in, and you can get money. Your children can get the money for having the disability. And that will help supplement some income for you as a parent as you're navigating through those things. So just want to throw that out there for some information. But there's lots of information. There's AAC devices. There's all kinds of things for the children that are nonverbal or
and those devices
verbal.
help them communicate.
It absolutely helps them communicate, and you can have them programmed with different words and what different phrases means or words mean. CHOA, actually, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. Excuse me. They actually have a program that the boys' speech therapist recommended for them to go through to get the AAC device, but the parents get trained. They actually program the tablet for them and give them a free iPad with all the programs in there for them to have the AAC device and utilize that. So there's lots of different things, but you can go through your speech therapist to request the AAC device and just get it through them. Like, there's lots of different things. You can ask your doctor, your pediatrician, to write a referral or prescription for the AAC device. When I tell you, there's lots of ways, more than one way to skin a cat. Okay? So get your stuff, talk to the people, ask questions, keep asking questions. If somebody don't know, they don't know, that's fine. Ask somebody else. Okay? Go online, ask the questions. I'm going to even say, ask ChatGPT, because sometimes ChatGPT be knowing.
Sister Chat be on it.
You know, but just always do your research on ChatGPT, because sometimes, although I love her, honey, because she might be listening, and you know these things may become sentient. Anyway, I love you, girl. But here's the thing. But here's the thing. Always do your due diligence and make sure that you're double checking that work that ChatGPT is providing, but still go in and look and see what you can find and ask the questions. So I'll get off my little rant off of that.
So thank you for that, Tanya. That was like a wealth of information. You was naming the things. I was like, we gotta put a sheet together, just run them down, all the things. So we appreciate you for doing that. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit. Well, not really a switch of gears, but kind of bringing everything together. We're gonna talk about building as a community. So
we are the Early Childhood Education Community Action Team. Our work within Ubuntu is all about our action and what are we actually doing locally, globally, to actually make moves here. So I'm curious if we could all kind of go around and talk about how we are inspired, what things give us hope in the work that we see now with regards to neurodivergent education, exceptional children, and the resources that are provided here in South Fulton and in our larger communities.
Okay, well, I'll go first.
Because you're the most ready.
So I'll say this. Everything gives me hope right now, because I see a great rising happening. I see more families stepping into their divine knowing, refusing to be silenced, refusing to shrink. I see mamas, daddies, grandmothers, aunties, and chosen kin alike standing in their power and saying no more. No more being dismissed, no more fighting for scraps. We are claiming what is and already ours. So I see children being lifted up, not just accommodated. Lifted up. Being celebrated as the brilliant, radiant souls that they are. I see the world slowly remembering that neurodivergence isn't a deficit, it's a different kind of brilliance. I see healing happening, not just in therapy rooms, but in kitchens, in classrooms, in community circles, and in sacred conversations like this one. We are no longer asking for permission to exist. We are building new systems, new languages, new rules, new futures. Spirit is leading this movement. Our ancestors are guiding it, and our children, these divine little oracles, are anchoring it with their presence. I don't just hope, I know the world is shifting. I feel it in my bones, in my spirit, in my heart, in my prayers, in my dreams. And it's only just the beginning. Yeah.
Come on, mic drop. Okay.
Go ahead, Shantel, follow that. Follow that.
It's on me now? Oh my goodness. What she said. Let me
And I'm a piggyback off of that.
Right. So I personally, what I feel like gives me hope, it is very, it is a bit of a piggyback off of what you said. I love that not just children, but people, individuals on the spectrum are now, I feel like they're being seen. Yes. So one of my, this is a guilty pleasure, honest, and I don't feel guilty about it if I'm honest. Definitely. One of my favorite shows on Netflix is Love on the Spectrum. I love that show so much because, and for those of you who don't know what that show is about, it is in essence helping individuals, adult individuals who are on the spectrum find love. And it's just so endearing, you know, just to see what that looks like and just to give people on the spectrum a voice. And they always, I've noticed that a lot of times when, I think most times when the when they're being interviewed, so one of the questions they ask is, what was it like for you, growing up? And most people would say, hey, had to deal with a lot of bullying, and it's heartbreaking, had to deal with a lot of bullying, name calling, and being ostracized, And so I say all that to say, the hope for me is allowing people who are neurodivergent to be seen. It's important to be seen, and just a show like that for someone who may be neurotypical to kind of get into the experience and to be empathetic towards people who are neurodivergent and children as well. So, and even on certain algorithms, maybe this is just my algorithm, but I've noticed on YouTube there have been a lot of different shorts popping up for people who are neurodivergent and what that experience looks like, and speaking to that. And some of the things that I can relate to, I'm like, okay, I might be, someone, a lot of things that I experienced as a child, and I'm like, oh, wow, So I say all that to say, let me bring it all home. Just being seen and just creating space and just hearing the stories, because in order for people to understand where you're coming from, they really need to be able to connect and to hear your story.
Yes.
So yes, so
Oh, thank you, because you set me up. So I'm so grateful for folks like you who are elevating your story, because it informs our work as community. I feel like in the last 5 to 10 years, we're seeing a resurgence of community building. Our generation and the generations above and below us really see the necessity of this grassroots work, and understanding that in order to really do that in the most effective way, we have to really understand all the folks that are within our community. Yes. And for so long, when we think about ourselves as marginalized people, we know that our most basic needs have not been understood. And so I'm so grateful for the access to information. I'm grateful for the narratives. I'm grateful for the transparency of children, the transparency of parents. I'm also really grateful for our societal shift, so like the show that you're referencing, and like our ability to sit and watch that and to normalize that for our children to be able to watch that, so our children can understand that language of kindness, what it looks like when you see people engaging in love in different ways. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the way that our schools are beginning to offer resources and are just open to understanding what they need to do. You know what I'm saying? And how it's becoming a part of our general school environment. It's not something set off to the side. It is all in the mix. What are we doing? We have inclusive classrooms. We have inclusive activities. Yes. I love that. I'm inspired by that. It feels like we're moving in the right direction for once, right?
Yes.
And I wanted to mention too, before I forget, I think Shantel, you mentioned it real briefly, that Chattahoochee Hills Charter Elementary School is having a summer camp for neurodivergent children this summer. I wanted to shout them out because last year I struggled with finding summer camp care for my boys because one of them at the time eloped. And eloping is when they just kind of wander off, right? And so they were at a camp. I won't name the camp. I thought it was going to be a fantastic time. They ended up booting my babies on up out of there because they couldn't accommodate them. And it was very heartbreaking for me. I cried, like I ugly cried about it.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah. And there's lots of opportunities in the North Fulton area for neurodivergent children, and they were not so many over here on the south side, fortunately, because of whatever reasoning, funding, whatever that may be. But at the end of the day, there is a huge need for it on the south side, but there were none. When I tell you I was doing my research, and Shantel was even doing some research on it, like I had boots on the ground trying to find me something for them to go into, and could not find anything. So Chattahoochee Hills doing this summer camp for the neurodivergent children is so important.
Yes.
So important for them. And this is this is monumental, quite frankly, groundbreaking here even. And I hope that I wish them all the blessings, all the staffing that they need, all of the patience and the love and the joy and all of the money that they need to continue this work forward. And so I did want to just shout them out with that. But also, I implore anybody that's out there that's listening to us, bring the money down here to South Fulton. Our babies need that stuff too. They need it. They need those opportunities. They want to go on field trips, but they need maybe about 3-4 extra hands for the ones that like to run off. You know what I'm saying? Or ask the mamas and or the daddies or whoever if they want to go as a chaperone on a field trip, or if they want to come in and they want to stay for a couple of hours, or whatever the case may be. Be collaborative with the parents and offer those services over here. I did end up finding something, so another thing just in case. If your children are in ABA, we talked about that earlier. The boys' ABA place, I won't name it because y'all don't need to know where my children go to school and where they go to ABA and all the different things. But they actually are doing a summer camp, and the boys will be going there this summer. However, it's good to know that Chattahoochee Hills was an option if that was something that I needed. And so I love that for them. I love that for the kids that have that opportunity to now get that. And if y'all out there and y'all got something like that, and stop pricing people out of it too. A lot of these parents can't afford anything past $150 a week.
Do the research in the median income in the area.
Yeah.
Okay. That's accessible information on I think the Census Bureau site. Yeah, let's be mindful with our pricing and our audience. Absolutely, absolutely.
Make sure you're offering the opportunity to take caps for those parents that are on caps, and just and work with the people. Come on, they need some help too. So we're going to find a way around to be able to offer that service to them and make it affordable and accessible for the families. Okay. That's all I ask.
So thank you so much for that, Tanya. We just want to thank you for everything today, just for the whole, just everything that you've given in information and your experience and wisdom. I just feel so inspired and encouraged by the words that you gave today, and I hope our listeners feel the same. And I also wanted to thank all those who are doing the work in the space to uplift our neurodivergent community. I do want to give a quick shout out as well to Autism Branches, Inc. I know I mentioned earlier that the fourth annual Sensory Festival was a partnership with Autism Branches, Inc., Tanya Newberry, shout out to her, and the city of South Fulton. So I want to shout them out, and also all of those who are doing the work, the mamas, also the ABA therapists, and just the pediatricians, and just everybody in the community that's doing the work. If you're doing the work, shout out to you, and for those who inspire to, shout out to you as well. And let's just let's work together. And we also want to shout out Ubuntu. We want to shout out Mary Wilson, our fearless leader. We want to shout out Dr. Woodley. We want to shout out, we could really go down the whole list if we want to. We want to Tyler, Dr. Rafi, Miss Val,
Queenie.
Thank
you. Sanai. The whole squad.
Exactly. One Talent.
Felicia.
Felicia. Carlos, Joanne. Yep, Joanne's with One Talent. So we just have a phenomenal group, smart from the start, with the different partnering organizations.
Odyssey and Pam Braxton.
Absolutely.
Shout out to them. So we did want to offer that. So all of our all of our partnering organizations, we love y'all. We thank y'all.
Absolutely.
Y'all helping to make Ubuntu brighter. Ubuntu Community Catalyst is here to stay. We ain't going nowhere. We're not the best kept secret in South Fulton. We are out here.
Yes,
we are
absolutely.
shining. We are glorious. And we are bringing our name to the forefront. We are bringing our work, our advocacy to the forefront for South Fulton, because we deserve that money too.
Okay.
We deserve them funds too. Bring it to us too.
Definitely.
I deserve.
Absolutely.
I also wanted to throw in one of the partnerships that we must shout out
Yes.
today is the Promise Career
Yes,
Institute,
PCI.
who is hosting us as we embark upon this podcasting journey. They have been such willing partners
Yes.
with us, with
Yes.
Ubuntu at large, but also the ECE-CAT. We're so grateful for you, for your space, for your teaching, all of it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And the work they're also doing in the early childhood
Absolutely.
space. So that is one of the degree tracks here, the certification tracks rather. And so we're super excited. And if you all tune in with us, we hope you come back as listeners because we will be doing a special episode with the PCI early childhood education students. So look out for that. And also, we got some other stuff coming up, some resources. So you want to take that, Tanya?
I'm spacing out. I'm so sorry, y'all.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
We want to start with the
What, FFL? Yep,
Yes.
Foster and Family Leaders.
Yes. So we've got Foster and Family Leaders. That is every Monday evening that we are in our current cohort. Lord, let me get my mouth together, y'all. Y'all pray for me. And that is just going phenomenally. We have a small but mighty group. At the current moment, we're looking to actually bring that to PCI, right, as one, and offer that as a curriculum here eventually. So we are working on that. So just, send us some good energy around that. But Fostering Family Leaders is just a fantastic program that Shantel touched on earlier, talking about what we're bringing, and we're doing things in that group where we're talking about iMessages. We've done visioning and vision boards. What else?
So then basically, to your point, just activities to build upon this leadership strengths that they
Yes,
already have.
yes.
And the reason why Tanya brought that up again, and I'm so glad she did, is because while we are in the middle of a cohort, we still have open spaces available for those who may want to join our group. It is on Monday nights from 6:15 to about 8:15, but the time goes by quickly because,
And we
again,
make it
it's
fun.
like we make
And
it
it's
fun.
virtual.
It's
You can
virtual,
yes.
yes.
Join us from
That's
wherever
important.
you are.
Exactly. You could be in the car. You could be in the
can be
middle of
cooking
cooking dinner.
dinner.
You could be doing
Yeah.
homework with them babies.
Whatever that looks
and
like.
it's a safe space for you to come on and just for you to feel community. So we're definitely
Definitely.
building community in that group.
And
if
there's
you're
graduation
interested,
at the end, too.
yes,
Yeah,
and we
we
have
do
a
a
wonderful graduation at the end in person, and we'll get together to do a community action project, community action cycle project, because not only are we training you on leadership and advocacy and the development of children, so we are also going to actualize that training in that project. So if that's something that you are interested in, definitely reach out to us. So I will give my email address first. So that's Shantel, S as in Sam, H as in Harry, A as in Ant, N as in Nancy, T as in telephone, E as in elephant, L as in love ya. Let me stop. Anyway, so Shantel at Ubuntu, UBUNTUCC.net. So that's Shantel at Ubuntu, UBUNTUCC.net if you want to join our FFL cohort. And also some other things that we wanted to get into. So as you know, as we mentioned earlier, this is our first episode of many. So next month is actually Mental Health Awareness Month, and we are going to center our next episode on that very topic. So that is going to be scheduled. It's scheduled for May 5th, but I'm sure it'll roll out sometime in the middle of that month. So look out for that. And what am I missing, ladies? Oh, the support group. I think, Tanya, you had mentioned that. So we are in the process of forming a support group for neurodivergent families. So if that is something you are interested in, Tanya is the wonderful lead for that initiative, which makes perfect sense. She's the perfect person for that. So Tanya, go ahead and share your email.
So, again, I'm Tanya Phillips. My email is tanya@ubuntucc.net. So I will spell that out. Again, tanya at Ubuntu, UBUNTUCC.net. And so hit me up if you have any questions around this episode in particular, anything that I have shared today. any resources that I may be able to share with you, any questions you may have. I will try to be as responsive as I possibly can, or at least guide you to someone who can be more responsive or give you the answers to the questions that you may have. So feel free to reach out to me. And yeah.
Awesome. So, and then one of our other initiatives that we talked about earlier, and the baby of the ECE-CAT, is our initiative around nutrition. So, Sarah is just that girl. She is I'm gonna spill all the tea. She is a chef, okay? Chef, honey, and also has so much experience working in the school space and in the food space. So, we are so excited that she is leading that initiative. If you are interested in that, can you please go ahead and give the people your email, Sarah?
Yeah, so similar to theirs, my email is Sarah, Serah, at ubuntucc.net. I think this is our first episode, but we're going to figure out how to include some show notes so that all of our emails and all of that are listed easily for you to access, copy, as well as all of the resources that Tanya ran down for us. So there's an easy place for you to go back and access that. But if you're interested in our nutrition initiative, we're working on some nutrition legislation right now. We're also interested in doing some work around school food in the local South Fulton area. So if that is your area, I implore you to reach out. My name, again, is Sarah. It's S as in Sam, ERAH at ubuntucc.net. Thank you.
And I'll add real quick to that, nutrition is a big, important part of what your children are eating as far as like your neurodivergent children. That gut-brain thing is very much a thing. And so what they eat, what they are putting into their bodies is very important in having autistic children. Some may have some sensory aversions to certain foods and textures and things like that. So that's why this is so very important that we are, and everything is kind of a collective, like it's all
holistic.
All holistic, and it all works and flows together with each thing that each initiative that we have on deck. So stay with us. We lit over here.
Thank you. And with that said, I just want to thank both of you ladies. Like, this was so fun and I'm excited. And we are going to close out with our mindful connoisseur. Okay, so let's pass it on over to Tanya to take us out.
Okay. So one thing before we fully get on up out of here, I'm going to say, for your school-age child evaluation and support for autism, here's a quick practical guide I want to give. Number 1, submit a written request for evaluation, which is sending a formal letter or email to your child's principal or special education coordinator. Use clear language, like I'm requesting a full psychoeducational evaluation to determine whether my child qualifies for services under IDEA, particularly with regard to suspected autism. Schools are legally required to respond within a specific time frame, which is usually 60 days. Number 2, keep a behavior and symptom log. Track daily behaviors at home, like meltdowns, sensory triggers, communication difficulties, and routines. Record when behavior happens, what triggered them, and what helped. Share this log with the school and evaluators as supporting evidence. Number 3 is know your rights as an independent educational evaluation. To an independent educational evaluation, which is an IEE. So if you disagree with the school's evaluation, you can request an IEE at the school's expense. Submit this request in writing. You do not have to justify it extensively. Consider, number 4, a private evaluation if possible, which would be seeking a licensed psychologist, neuropsychologist, or developmental pediatrician. Ask your pediatrician for referrals or check with university clinics that offer sliding scale options, because that can be expensive. Some state Medicaid programs and nonprofits provide financial help, so you'll have to look for that. Number 5, connect with advocacy and support organizations, parent training and information centers, disability rights organizations, local autism societies. These groups can assist with understanding legal rights, writing letters, and attending meetings. Begin support services while waiting. So look into speech therapy, occupational therapy, and behavioral therapy. AAC devices that I talked about earlier, or tools that can support communication even before a formal diagnosis. And many services don't require a school diagnosis to begin. And then learn the legal protections, like I said before. So IDEA, which is Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. which is the rights and evaluations for IEPs, Section 504, which is the accommodation in schools, even without an IEP, and then ADA, which is Americans with Disabilities Acts, so that protects against discrimination. And 3 more, and then we're done with that, but document everything. Keep a file of your emails, meeting notes, evaluations, and requests. Bring documentation to IEP or school meetings. Don't let fear delay the action. Diagnosis isn't a label of limitation, it's a pathway to understanding and support. Early or late, getting answers can improve quality of life and help your child thrive. And trust your instincts. You know your child the best. Keep advocating until they're seen, supported, and celebrated. Okay? There you go.
Love that. Thank you.
So coming into the mindful moment, I like to do a mindful moment meditation. This is in honor of one of our founders, Sir Jose Bright. This one is going to be divine strength in motherhood. But we can make it parenthood. Y'all just listen close. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, feel the weight of the world gently lift off your shoulders. Close your eyes if you can and find a comfortable place to sit. In this moment, we are here just as we are. As a mom, you are not just a parent. You are a guide, a protector, a teacher. Your love is the light that navigates the path for your children, who are not simply autistic, but divinely gifted, brilliant, and shining with potential, whether autistic or not. Remember, your strength is not found in perfection, but in your ability to rise, to show up, to keep pushing through the future and build the future that you want, not just for your children, but for the world they are meant to heal. When the overwhelm hits, when the systems feel like they are meant to wear you down and the weight of it all is heavy, remember, you have the power of choice. You can choose to take a pause, even if it's just for a moment. Breathe in love and breathe out frustration. Remember, every challenge is an opportunity to teach yourself compassion and resilience. Your work is sacred. It is transformative, not just for your children, but for all of us. The world needs your brilliance, your unwavering spirit, your divine motherhood. Now, with your hand over your heart, silently repeat after me. I am enough. I am love. I am light. I am divine. I am because we are. We are all interconnected. Your strength, your love, and your journey are part of a much greater whole. Together we heal. Together we rise. Now, when you're ready, take a final deep breath and slowly open your eyes, carrying this moment of peace, strength, and love with you throughout the day and every day. Ashe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tanya.
We all mellowed out now.